Welcome back to the HGC Finals. I'm here, Gillyweed, filling in for Caleris at the desk host position. Here with Caldor, Trixler, and Jayhow. I promise I didn't forget who you are. Maybe I did. Who knows?
It's a beard.
She's crushing me today. First she bosses me around.
The crap you were giving me during the break, man. Maybe I did just forget.
Now she's
he was also giving it to Trixler right before we came back.
I'm just used to it. Gilly,
he's
I'm
an
sorry
equal
you had to deal with
opportunity
that.
crap giver, apparently.
Eventually you get a wall, you know, you just
I
give
was
up.
the nicest today I've ever been to him.
That's what happens with Chromie Factor.
We were
No more
fine.
coffee for you.
Look,
Okay,
we got the
sounds
game
good.
going up, but we were
Wait.
5 seconds before we were going live.
Yeah.
And he's giving Trixler grief.
That's just what he does. Guys, we are in the middle of our first elimination match of 2 today for Group A. Deadlykittens came in, won the first game, but then we saw Tempo Storm be able to tie it back up with a Kerrigan Malthael of all things. What does that mean for Game 3?
Draft more circles.
Exactly, draft more circles. The one thing I wanted to add before we headed into the break was, by the way, that with the combo with Kerrigan and Malthael, is what really cool to see that a lot of the pressure that Malthael experienced in the first game was actually away from him. The attention was more so on Kerrigan, which allowed Malthael to do so much in those team fights. Since even with the double support, they had a lot of trouble out healing the damage, since every single time Touch of Death was simply activated, and Malthael had so much room to work with, since everybody's eyes were on Kerrigan and her stuns.
Yeah, it seemed way different than the Tormented Souls of the Dragon Blade that we saw in the first game. They were able to get through Sound Barrier and the heals that Deadlykittens had. Let's see where Game 3, the third and final game of this best of 3, is going to take place. Deadlykittens have the option of Battleground choice or first pick. They opt into the Battleground, and they're taking us to Tomb of the Spider Queen.
The return of Ragnaros, potentially, in this game. Now that we've
Straight on the
got
map.
Trixler on the desk.
I mean, even without Lava Wave, I actually think it's a battleground that he's very strong on. He's very safe in the bottom lane. He can do pretty decent in some matchups. He's not going to win you a lane, right? But he can hold it for a long amount of time, which buying time on that battleground is very effective and very useful.
So we go into Tomb of the Spider Queen. Any other besides Ragnaros? I mean, I guess we knew that that had to be brought up. I'm sure we'll hear about Chromie at some point in this draft too. Any other picks that you guys are keeping your eyes on now? Is this potential that maybe we'll have a second character, or does that seem like that was a one-time strat only, Jayhow?
This was a...
This was the Kerrigan.
I was going to say, I have shades of Glaurung on Kerrigan last year at PAX West, qualifying them for BlizzCon. That was one of the most epic NA moments that we've had in the past year. Now we've got Psalm busting it out. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, in my opinion.
Infernal Shrines, this battleground, Kerrigan can excel. I mean, the lanes are very small. I mean, Arthas Kerrigan used to be the pickup that you went to back in the day on this battleground.
And Medivh as well, good another hero that we have seen here. We have seen it already before. This is a great hero for the quick rotations.
The draft
Bye,
has
Lucio.
started, and Lucio is gone.
I would
Game
love
3.
if they just banned Malthael right now. It's like, you take our Lucio away, all right, Malthael's gone.
I think Garrosh has to definitely be considered as a ban here for Deadlykittens. If they've studied, they've seen, you know, the way that NA started to play this. Tempo Storm has picked it in the past. I think Garrosh could be a threat unless they just feel comfortable dealing with that. And generally, you know, we kind of had the conversation off stream earlier. It was a matter of like, all right, what type of heroes do you have to see? And a lot of those, it either revolves around mobility or the potential Medivh. So are you comfortable with that? But this is interesting.
Like this more. If you pick Garrosh now, then you allow Deadlykittens to draft heroes that can punish Garrosh. That would be ETC, for example, that can really exploit his positioning. So I think they are going to have an easier time playing around Garrosh and trying to exploit his weaknesses than dealing with Malthael again, that obviously is prioritized by Tempo Storm to a ridiculous amount. So it's just a pillar of their comps. So getting rid of him makes sense, I feel, in the setup.
Gilly, would Tassadar make sense here for Tempo Storm? I feel like that's something that you would move into with that being open and available, and they have a huge track record with the hero.
Yeah, that is a possibility. Tassadar even is just really big in North America still, and also kind of keeps things open still for them, but it has kind of felt like Tempo Storm is rotating more toward double full supports lately, with having Coffin like playing things like Brightwing. We saw him play Malfurion, and I hadn't ever seen him play that before. Even a Lily sometimes they'll pick with him. That may not feel like that would be their #1 pick for this like such important slot. So they're going to actually opt into Sonya since Malthael was banned.
I really wonder, we saw one of the rare Kel'Thuzad picks towards the end of the season. It wasn't necessarily the most meaningful game, but they've generally picked a lot of mage-style heroes, whether it's the Chromie, Gul'dan, or Kel'Thuzad towards the end of the season. As you said, now they're going more towards the double support style, and with you going double support style, you generally go into a more sustained style hero. Gul'dan's the only one that kind of fits that realm, but you got to think it's probably more than likely going to be an auto attack style hero that we'll probably see.
I'm with the double pick for the Deadlykittens right now. One of the heroes that I would definitely expect to make an early appearance again, for the reasons that have been pointed out throughout the day, is definitely Muradin, especially also since he can, of course, pressure Sonya a little bit more. Waveclear, of course, is a big question mark still. And there's so many heroes still around that you can pick here. Tassadar was pointed out by you for Tempo Storm. Deadlykittens could also decide to go into one of those hyper carry double support comps, especially since Tassadar not only excels to emphasize another hero, but the one cool thing that you have with him as well is just the vision on the map. And once you control the 2 turn-in points, you can really attempt to snowball.
This is actually a combination that we've seen from a lot of teams in the eastern side of the world. Auriel and Garrosh. Auriel actually stepped Garrosh very well when you're playing offensive, especially when you're pushing in the web weavers. The Detainment Strike into a wall sets up the Garrosh for the easy engage into the throw behind. So it's actually a really deadly combo.
There's a lot of opportunities on Tomb of the Spider-Queen in general just because of the structures. And it was kind of when we first saw Lucio, it was back at the first Western Clash. And it was Lucio all the time on Tomb of the Spider-Queen. Most teams considered it the better battleground because he had so many walls to ride on. It's kind of a similar value that we'll see out of Auriel, is that you have several walls to use for the Detainment Strike.
What picks are you thinking next for Tempo Storm? What would you like to see here, Caldor?
Rhaegar. I would really love to see supports now being targeted, and Rhaegar is also chosen. It makes so much sense for them to get him here simply because it adds the extra wave clear. It's great in the synergy with Sonya, and it's also one of those moments where you have to basically, you're forced to already take a support, since if you don't, you allow the Kittens in the next rotation to pick up a second support for themselves, ban out another one, and really start to choke you out a little bit on the utility supports you want.
Genji and Greymane being hovered here. Genji, a Tempo Storm normal hero that you would see from them pretty often.
Also, by the way, we haven't really mentioned that yet, but Rhaegar, of course, as the support choice makes so much sense since he adds the utility too and has his panic buttons. But they also picked ETC, and ETC is exactly the hero that we pointed out earlier as a great counter to Garrosh, which we now see on the side of Deadlykittens. So if you position badly with Garrosh, ETC then has that opportunity to slide in and push into the team and make sure that there's a kill confirmed.
I think that one of the things that concerns me most about Deadlykittens is the fact that they're so heavy on the Greymane. And Greymane is not a very good Auriel battery. And in the past, we've seen NSJ, and it's been a while, and he told me we're unlikely to see a Lunara. It's something that he's excelled on in the past. That's generally up that alley, but they've been on that double support NSJ carry style that I'm not really confident here about a Greymane. And I'd almost like to see maybe Banavala force them into something else, especially if you plan on going double support, make him play the Lunara, things like that. If you've researched that hero, the only fallback option there beyond that, however, is a Cassia pick that we have not seen yet. And Cassia might be prioritized here.
I actually, call me crazy, don't mind Zul'jin as well. If that Greymane were to fall off there, Zul'jin can actually be kind of decent with the Auriel, but it's good against multiple melees if you can stay away from that leap flash full-on engage. But of course, you'd have to move into another support. I'm just saying there are options outside of what we saw from there before, but I feel like we're going to get that Greymane no matter what. NSJ looks like he's at home on that hero. You compare to other heroes that he picks up, and it feels a little bit off. So we'll have to see what he moves into.
I mean, one of the things that I'm actually still waiting for is a follow-up for Garrosh's combo. We don't really have anything to go for that lockdown then to really confirm a kill or that burst damage and afterwards. So as JR said, we need a battery for Auriel. Greymane doesn't really excel here too much. I would like to see a follow-up on Garrosh combos to really make this composition in general a little bit more scary.
Gul'dan out of the realm?
Look, I was going to say, kick it old school. Kick it. I was going to say the Tassadar there. This is the reason I say Tassadar is that Confidence is that secondary support one. He's only been playing a lot of Lucio or Brightwing. Brightwing doesn't really fit here. Auriel's going to be that. I was going to say kick it old school, maybe go Tass and then bring that Cassia in for that Auriel battery. You can still go Vala. I think either or is going to be up in the air here, but we do have the Ragnaros picked up as well to man that solo lane.
I'm questioning the Auriel at this point. I'm not quite sure if she had to really be such a high priority for them. You have Rhaegar open, so I would have preferred them to go into Rhaegar. It would have made them overall a bit more flexible than Auriel with the setup they're playing right now. There are still batteries around, but I feel it already pushes you in a certain direction where I would have preferred them to keep themselves a bit more flexible to adjust to what Tempo Storm is doing.
I feel like at this point it basically has to be Vala, just because you might want that second interrupt, and as it stands, the only interrupt you have is going to be a Detainment Strike for a potential mosh pit. Vala with the Rain of Vengeance.
I
is
love
kind
how
of that
you
backup
immediately
option.
say they're going lava way.
Yeah, that's you're like, oh, you want a mosh pit? Well, here's some fire for you.
I mean, there is
There it is. There it is.
there is still a Sephora smash, but you're immediately glancing over that and saying like, nope, it's gonna be lava way.
No, I said Detainment Strike. There's no Sulfurous Smash. There's no such thing as that. Just ask Trixler.
Yeah.
There is no such thing.
I deal with that on a daily basis, believe me.
Psalm is going to log on to his Smurf here, Pharaoh, and pull out the Kel'Thuzad, which is one of the deadliest things that you can see in North American Hero League. Will it work out against the Deadlykittens?
They always have some type of mage style. Their earlier game, they had Medivh, doesn't quite fit the same mold, but they love having a mage style to fit into that. You know, I said Chromie, Gul'dan, or the Kel'Thuzad, which we saw towards the end of the season against Team Freedom. They end up busting out the Kel'Thuzad, whose one-shot, one-kill potential is nasty.
I mean, with Kel'Thuzad, you really want to pressure in. The problem is normally against him, you use dive, since he is quite squishy. That's, by the way, where Muradin would excel, but with the draft that we're seeing for the Kittens right now, it's not quite the hero that you would feel would complement that composition here. So, right now we have the Vala. We needed the battery for Oriel, and as you said before, we need additional interrupts against the potential mosh pit from ETC, so Vala makes perfect sense here. But Kel'Thuzad into that after the ban on Genji was a smart choice.
One of the best counters towards Garrosh, burst damage. I'd say Kel'Thuzad brings a little bit of that to the table.
Yeah, this now has become, can Kel'Thuzad do his thing? Can Psalm do what we saw Tempo Storm do with Kel'Thuzad versus Team Freedom, which was Tempo Storm lost that series, but that game versus Freedom on Tomb was so dominant for Tempo Storm. It was ridiculously dominant. Does Deadlykittens have what they need to slow down the stacking of those Blight stacks?
I don't know about slowing down the stacks. They can slow down the game there with the Ragnaros, but ETC sets up Kel'Thuzad easily here to drop down the Frost Novas, get those Blight stacks going in like crazy. I see Psalm having a very strong game here just because of Fury setting him up.
And it's not just that. I mean, the slide's going to be there, and then they ended up going Malfurion again. Slide, root, that's an old combo. But now all of a sudden, you've got yourself that little ring there. It's going to lock you down.
Circle of the Storm.
Lots of circles.
What the Kittens have to do is control the objective. They need to snowball it with the objective. Kel'Thuzad excels when you push in with your team, so you can actually use the chains and into the structures and then chain people in, so the push potential is just magnified. If you shut that down by controlling the objective and get the double turn in at the beginning and snowball it to 10, then you can play around that and can really exploit his weaknesses. But that's something that they have to do, in my opinion, if they want to win that game now.
Guys, this is it. One game to determine who moves on to face CE in the final match of tonight. Caleris and Dreadnought, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Gilly, as we get into the final map now. And overall, a Kel'Thuzad coming out against no cleanse on the other side, most importantly.
Yeah, Psalm was absolutely astounding on some of the games we were able to see him on the Kel'Thuzad in the past. You heard Gilly highlighting kind of the aggression they were able to display. And after seeing, the offensive playstyle in game number 2 here, I'm kind of really excited to see that playstyle here for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, same, especially since, as I say, it's all the way down to the wire now. Game number 3 coming in. So without further ado, let's head into Tomb of the Spider Queen to find out who is going to be advancing on to keep themselves alive. Not even just qualify for the quarterfinals. They still have to go through CE, who is a fearsome opponent indeed, as Tempo Storm previously learned. So let's get into it, as I am here with Mr. Good Old Dreadnought.
In the blue, we have Deadlykittens representing Southeast Asia, where we have Confidence on the Tassadar. Enavir is on Rhaegar. We have NSJ on the Vala. Next up is Stronger on the Garrosh, and I missed Jinwoo on Ariel.
And to the right-hand side, Tempo Storm from North America. June will be playing Rhaegar. Next up, Fury on ETC. We have Cthulhu going to be rocking it out on the Malfurion. Next up, Psalm on Kel'Thuzad, a lot on his shoulders. And Caterpillar will be on Sonya. That rounds out their composition, looking to try and advance on to the next round.
Deadlykittens has to find a way to slow down the Blight stacks of Psalm to avoid getting chained in root consistently. Because if that does end up working well with the ETC setup, the power slide into the chains here, it could be a very, very short Tomb of the Spider Queen game for Deadlykittens.
And just in general, short distances, which makes Blight stacking even easier.
Absolutely. The rotations and transitions we can expect out of Tempo, as we see already 3 Blight stacks obtained. Psalm has been really, ever since Kel'Thuzad released, putting a lot of effort into it within the, Hero League, putting in the grind here.
Yeah.
And immediately with his performance within North America, it showed. He was a bar above every other Kel'Thuzad, and I'm really hoping it still continues at the international stage.
Very good crisis management there, actually, by Sam for a moment. He threw the chains out on one target, realized Garrosh was way too close to him, and completely changed focus, understanding that he had to deal with that. But Fury, under pressure, will go down. That's first blood. ETC falls. It's not been the most clean tournament yet for Fury.
Yeah, very good job, though, for Stronger to kind of feign that weakness, abusing the passive there of Garrosh, and then getting the max range pull right on in.
Yeah.
That's going to net Deadlykittens. At least, I would say, probably both of the turrets here onto the front wall. Minimum of one turret, and more importantly, a smidge of experience ahead of Tempo Storm.
So let's see how Deadlykittens is going to seize the advantage off the back of that. It was the one tower, which gives them a little bit of extra experience, pushing them on to that level 4 quicker. So there is the theory that they can try and get themselves a bit more control over those turn-in points with good pressure down on this bottom lane.
But it's also, we have to keep in mind the fact that Deadlykittens keep sieging up. Hold up here, brilliant flank, nice follow-up there. Kattle's going to interrupt the drag, actually, so nobody's gaining a bit too much on either side, but respect the aggression of Tempo Storm, trying to push off NSJ on that Volley.
Double-edged sword, really, for having an Auriel against the Kel'Thuzad. Of course, the AoE potential on Kel'Thuzad is very strong, and thus Auriel can heal. But as we said, the lack of that cleanse down the line, if those combos have become prevalent from Psalm, can be deadly.
I mean, it can be legitimately 100-0. Some of the highest single target bursts. I don't want to say spell, because obviously it's a sequence of spells, but when the full rotation is some of the highest damage output that we have in all of Heroes of the Storm. But of course, that's after those blight stacks. The punishment there from NSJ and the members of Deadlykitten on bottom is very real, setting 2 kills now over Tempo Storm.
Really big play there from NSJ, of course, backed up by his team very, very well. But a great anticipatory move to get in there and put pressure on against Kel'Thuzad. And this bottom lane has been a disaster. This is actually extremely bad for Tempo Storm. They need to gain some sense of stability down here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was trying to bring it up a bit before. The pressure that we see Deadlykittens applying is very, very effective into the Kel'Thuzad to be able to stop those blight stacks. Kel'Thuzad does a lot better whenever he is sieging. Yes, he can defend rather effectively. Talking about a brilliant combo. They're bringing them back together. NSJ able to vault right away. But my goodness, that was a very crisp and clean rotation there out of Psalm.
No full action coming out for Psalm, going with the armor of the Archlich, and June managing to sneak in some turning up towards the top. Ragnaros, as well as other members of Deadlykittens, a little bit more busy about what they're just doing in lane. But it doesn't matter too much. No full turn-in just yet here for Tempo Storm. Although looking to put pressure on the bottom lane again. They have to focus on this. They can't let this snowball as hard as it has done so far.
Tempo Storm, if they're able to achieve a turn-in as well. Kel'Thuzad is one of the best sieging heroes in the game. Fury going to be tossed onto the back line. Deadlykitten's going to get that detainment strike back. And that is another kill for Deadlykittens.
That sequence was beautiful.
Absolutely. I mean, shout out to Jinwoo. Anytime a support can be the one to set up a play, I will always be the man to back that one up.
That's right.
Very well done.
And NSJ's Volt out as well. Just perfect stuff to really bait in Fury as far as he went. But now, still the pressure continues on this bottom lane.
Blight stacks are almost rounding 30 already here as we're 4 minutes into the game. That is absolutely ridiculous. So suddenly we're going to find a situation to where Psalm will be packing a lot more punch with those ice chains and everything of the like.
Yeah, so 4 minutes done.
Yeah, I told you, Psalm on Kel'Thuzad is very, very impressive.
That's for sure. Now, Deadlykittens here looking to try and get a turn-in of their own. They may have to look towards the top turn-in point to try and get that accommodated for. But Tempo Storm realizes this. They are actually positioning themselves in such a way that they can try and cover both bases. Tassadar's up towards home. Not sure how many gems he has, but Stronger's going to keep trying down here. Very difficult against Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, I want to know, oh man, another power slide there, but the knockback puts NSJ in a bad spot. Good pull and flip out of Fury, but it comes at a cost. NSJ down.
Chthon Lux's roots were amazing, catching 3 of them there, so Psalm could absolutely go off. More kills rain down. Jinwoo very low, he will fall as well. Triple kill goes over to Tempo Storm, and remember when I had asked for them to get some stability down in the bottom lane? That might have done it for a bit.
Yeah, very well done to be able to get that punishment and bite back here, even netting the turn in there for Cattle up on top. Now, Red Webweaver phase is online, and this is when Kel'Thuzad is going to become a problem. He already has completed his Blight, but it's particularly when he is sieging, because he can chain to his opponent's structures. It is suddenly, anytime he throws his chain onto a target, it's 4 seconds that you want nothing to do with defending your own structures.
Absolutely.
Wow, nice Glacial Spike pullback. That was impressive.
Very, very good stuff. And they haven't even hit level 10, so he doesn't even have his full power yet, does Sam.
I can only imagine when we see the Shadow Fissure dropped right underneath that here, but Tempo Storm is looking to make a lot happen. Once they take out this front wall, it won't be enough for the 10s, but they surely will round their 10s as this Webweaver faces up. A minimum of 1 fort, and I expect a bit more here out of Tempo Storm with this huge advantage, this colossal window that you typically don't see on a map like Tomb.
All right, here we go then. Mosh Pit's coming in as well as Twilight Dream for some extra heroic power. And Deadlykittens losing almost their entire front line on this map, on this battleground, losing fort after fort. Going towards boss here, I love it. Why on earth not?
I mean, boss in this type of situation ultimately will gain Tempo Storm something that they maybe wouldn't be able to have at this point in time, and it will waste the Webweaver phase of Deadlykittens if Deadlykittens feels like they need to force this turn in. But nobody seems to have too much interest there for Deadlykittens, so ultimately not too much gained out of Tempo Storm with this boss. It's not a poor play by any means, but ultimately you have 2 options. You either force the fight somewhere else, or you go for this boss and maybe hope that you see the misplay there, and it's just a heads-up response out of Deadlykittens.
Certainly should be coming down towards the bottom here for Deadlykittens, although that being said, they didn't get enough gems in down there, unfortunately for them, so just cleaning up the boss, trying to get themselves back in a position of power here, as we have Warlord's Challenge, Reign of Vengeance, we have Archon coming in, Crystal Aegis, and Deadlykittens' Lava Wave gets added to the mix to try and push them off the middle fort.
It's going to effectively do so there as it gets the power slide out. Psalm actually taking way too much damage. Confidence. Question if he wants to poke out any farther, but it looks like that is enough for him. Webweaver phase is down, and Tempo Storm is 1 gem away from getting their secondary.
Hate to break it to Trixler's haircut, but that's the most damage that we've seen from Lava Wave to a hero in this tournament so far.
Yeah, that's actually, you are correct. And in fact, it was only because it's such a very, very squishy hero, and you know, maybe didn't sniff out the Lava Wave as fast as the rest of the members.
He hates me. He absolutely hates me. But that's fine, that's fine. As we have now Tempo Storm cleaning up mid, trying to get themselves a push on towards that middle fort. Because he's so low, why on earth not stronger though, waiting in the wings?
Deadlykittens, it should be trying to put an emphasis on looking for this turn-in before the 13 Talontier is there for Tempo Storm. Cat is going to start it off. Chains are enough to deter NSJ from being able to stop that here, but only 23 gems dumped for now here on Tempo Storm's side.
Slowly gaining power is Deadlykittens. You can always be surprised at how much damage Tassadar is able to do with the zoning potential of that Storm. It's 700 stacks at the moment, so gathering up nicely. And, well, they did not get themselves a turn in here, did Deadlykittens, and Tempo Storm controls the map continuously.
It's still not as bad as a traditional game because of the Ragnaros, right? That's something we have to keep in mind. He plays like an Abathur. He changes how the map and where your power spikes are going to be. An interrupt there onto the Glacial Spike pole is going to keep NSJ alive.
One thing that the front line of Deadlykittens has to be careful about before that Molten Core goes down is when they've been chained and they move back. Don't go near Ragnaros, because that can then disrupt that Molten Core from happening. But you've got to be very, very careful about where you're moving at that point.
Absolutely, and you know, oh wow, with the flip attempt there coming out from Garrosh. Aegis dropped, Shadow Fissure immediately after. Nice root coming out from Cotton Luck. Twilight Dream is dropped, but it looks like Ario is going to be able to make it out just fine. The Lava Wave used Glacial Spike. Is able to pull back Jinwoo, but only 1 kill gained here for Tempo Storm. A lot of fireworks there, but not too much after.
No, not at all. They'll be able to get this middle fort in the end and just clean up top lane toward, as well for Deadlykittens. But other than that, now they are quite behind, to say the least, by Fire Be Purged. One of my favorite heroes in the entire game, Ragnaros. I'm glad we get to see it.
I'm glad that we've gotten to see this much of him as well. I feel like he's been a hero that on initial release, so amazing, so impactful, and then a couple nerfs here and there. I mean, granted, they were substantial nerfs, but his Molten Core, much like Sylvanas' passive, is such a high impact strategic spell that I did expect him to show up here and there. So it's awesome here at the HGC Finals that we've already gotten ourselves 2 Lava Waves.
Yeah. ETC going into Bloodhound mode there, looking to sniff out some gem turn-ins. Doesn't quite deny it overall.
So one thing I want to bring up here for Deadlykittens with this Web Weaver phase is if they are successful whatsoever, they have enough gems to almost back this up with a secondary Web Weaver phase. They have done a very, very good job of enabling the mid-game for a double turn-in snowball. And it is not common that you see teams be able to enable that at these later stages. The most important thing, though, is that they cannot risk death while sieging with this Web Weaver phase, and you know Tempo is going to look to force these type of fights.
The delay on capturing those camps was beautiful, to not have to care too much about bottom lane and mid lane. So everybody, almost everybody can go up to top lane, clean up that Web Weaver, and not going to take that much damage. That was a glorious move. Power slides out.
And Jay ate a poison spear and almost sent him down to 0 HP. That's going to draw a lot here of the resources out of the double supported Deadlykittens. They're on now full retreat. Mid and bottom Web Weaver still up.
And I think that is a testament to currently how calm Tempo Storm feels in this game. To delay those camps as they did, to say, we are actually so in control of this game, we're going to delay these. We're going to alleviate some of the pressure that we feel is going to be in this Web Weaver turn-in and just completely run the show. Very impressive stuff by Tempo Storm there. As they do lose bottom fort, but that's by the by.
And now we find ourselves in a bit of an awkward moment if the double turn-in was the intent here for Deadlykittens, because turning in a Web Weaver phase would essentially just be wasted because that 16 talent here. Look at Fury there off to the left, catching out Confidence. He goes for the power slide. Nobody there for the follow-up. Nice knockback, body blocks. And look at that, into the fray, and the pole is going to be able to get the peel.
June looking to the flank so he can put down his totem and kind of stop that retreat out there for the moment. As Stronger under a lot of pressure at the moment. Taunted here by the Warlord's challenge. Ambitious play there to try and get him in a good position. But Confidence will just shift out. And Kel'Thuzad goes down during all of that. That was a crazy fight over the wall.
Yeah, very split and backed out. Cattle got into the 1v1 with Confidence, which, by the way, I want to highlight the fact that Confidence was able to draw aggro out of a Tassadar while Archon is pop, meaning you have the double dimensional shift, you have the survivability, and Tassadar is a hero that's effective at low HP. One of the few that can kind of sit back, give you a shield, and still be very, very high impact. He is one of the best at drawing aggros out of a high burst hero like that, and ultimately I do feel like Tempo Storm may want to change their scope a smidge there on that Sonya if they're going to be still as dominant as they were for the first couple of minutes of this game.
And the fact that nullification is here as well for Tassadar means that, you know, eventually Sonya gets a little bit more lackluster if she's wanting to dive in and really kind of put on some pressure here. So Deadlykittens by no means out of this game just yet.
And the biggest thing there is, because that skirmish happened, it kind of stalled out the experience of the trickle down here for Deadlykittens to get the 16 within the window that they have this Web Weaver phase and not be afraid of Tempo Storm or waste their gems. This is a very convenient skirmish that they found themselves in, and now they need to look to reap the rewards.
And they've caught back up.
They have, very much so, and we still have a Molten Core available to be able to deter the next Web Weaver phase on the side of Tempo Storm. My biggest thought process now is who's going to get the boss? Who is going to prime themselves best to be able to pick that up?
And one of the best targets that they could eventually anticipate picking up for Tempo Storm is something like a Valor if she steps too far forwards, but Gloom is there to be able to assist in surviving the onslaught that is Kel'Thuzad, so that's nice.
It's nice, but it feels like, again, it's just a smidge. It's not enough to be able to do it. Like, even greater spell shield and as Lunara, and I'm still sitting there going like, this guy stings. Way too much damage there. But overall, Kel'Thuzad, he's been, you know, Psalm on that hero has put on a really good showing with the chains and the coordination here. And for, again, the first couple of minutes, it has been effective. It's just that we've kind of hit a lull here between the two teams. After Deadlykittens gained that momentum back, now both are kind of sitting there going, what is the win condition? And here, how can we make sure that we set ourselves up the best?
At least for Tempo Storm, they have a full turn in if they can grasp at it. Deadlykittens at the moment, just slowing things down, going back to their night camp. Looks like there may be a skirmish up towards the top in a few moments.
The camp being picked up automatically indicates to Tempo Storm that there is 100% obviously somebody in that section, but because they had retreated to their own night camp, can't maybe take advantage of that. That's oftentimes competitively, if you assume that they're on that section of the map and you start a major objective, the minute you see that, you're like, okay, now complete it all in and focus. Talking about all in, a boss up here, Shadowfisher actually got the reveal.
It did, yeah, so that's a big deal. They're going to have to back out from that. I was going to say, like a lull in the action for a moment because these two teams understand the consequences of what could occur here, but the fact that that was able to be scouted out, very important there for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, you can see that they very much have the same thought process as myself. Boss is going to be a very scary thing, and without enough gems for Deadlykittens, there's not much left for them to do on the map. 59 gems are turned in here for Tempo Storm, but Kotha gets flipped. That's Malfurion in a bad spot. He gets taunted. Ice block canceled. Ancestral connects.
Oh, very good save there. Stronger is going to have to back on out. He's not enough health to be able to continue on that push. Fury wasn't there to be able to continue with that full turn in there for Tempo Storm, so this fight is going to continue on. Good chains at the moment, big AoE damage being going down, but Fury in the backlines now, being thrown in by Garrosh, and going to have to use the Crystal Aegis on Auriel himself.
Cattle's getting chased down by NSJ. No vault there. Lava Wave coming through, trying to get the follow-up there, the alley-oop, but everybody able to make it out of the way. Deadlykittens using the space created, but the punishment is there. The Mosh Pit follow-up.
Fury absolutely catching them completely off guard after that kill. That's a double as they look for more here on towards Ragnaros. Envy are trying to get out, uses the Hand of Fierce to try and keep himself alive as much as possible, but no, he goes down. 3 kills for Tempo Storm.
And Tempo Storm now has the world at their disposal. They are going to be able to pick themselves up this boss. They are going to lock in this next Webweaver phase, and now we are maybe moments away here from Tempo Storm taking this game.
We definitely are, and gotta give a tip of the hat to Sam being able to catch Garrosh when he did, because that caused utter chaos in the ranks of Deadlykittens.
It's actually very important that Tempo Storm makes sure all of those minions get killed just so this Webweaver phase does not stall out there. If those 2 minions had made it long enough to get that Webweaver phase so far back from this boss, it's suddenly what was almost a win or a game suddenly goes, we can only get a keep and we just lost a win condition.
The best way is you drop them down right next to each other, and that's a lot of power behind it, as Deadlykittens right now doesn't even have a huge amount of AoE damage to try and cleave through all of that. Oh, and they're not able to stop it out. The Molten Core is going to be very impactful. Garrosh, very, very low. Does not get hit by the Shadow Fissure, and looks like Confidence is going to get out towards the top, but this is still a lot of power.
There's still so many, the boss, the Webweaver's here. This is very scary for Deadlykittens. They're going to find Cattle, flip him in. The chains are dropped along with the taunt, but the boss is ignoring them. They're going for the core.
Taunt does nothing. Taunt does nothing here. They're not able to get the power on towards Cattle. He's going to sit on the core here, and Tempo Storm drops the shields. They know that they've done it here, as this core is going to fall. The boss could finish it alone. Tempo Storm 2-1 against Deadlykittens, keeping the hopes alive here in Group A.
Very impressive games there coming out from Tempo Storm. There was a lot of questions and a lot of doubt from everyone, all the analysis here. But they showed that they still have the strength that they flaunted at the playoffs for North America. Sadly, sending home here Deadlykittens after their second loss in this, and having them come here and perform at the level they did, I was pleasantly surprised, but ultimately, it's competitive. Somebody's got to be a winner, someone's got to be a loser, and today, Tempo's that winner.
And where was Tempo Storm's strength? It was in the wild cards. It was in the Kerrigan, of all things. It was in the Kel'Thuzad. Sam was able to play it well.
Yeah, he absolutely was. He was bringing out the flavor for Tempo Storm here. We, again, doubted him and very much made us eat our words pleasantly so. 4 minutes getting maximum stacks on that Kel'Thuzad Blight and really highlighting the boss whenever the backdoor attempt there for Deadlykittens. Really, I mean, now thinking about it, Psalm truly maybe the MVP of that series.
2-1 series for Tempo Storm. Let's head over to the analysis desk to see what they think about the whole best of 3.
Thank you, guys. Tempo Storm lives for now, but they are by far not out of the woods yet. They still have one more opponent to go through if they want to make it to the top 8 at BlizzCon. But we got to give a shout out to Deadlykittens. They came in, they had a new roster, 2 new players, they had a new shot color, Jay-How, and looked really good today. They brought a lot of plays.
It actually surprised me. I didn't know where my expectations would lie with that team. Obviously, I was able to cast them during their regionals. You know, I was sitting in on scrims, things like that, trying to see what they were bringing to the table. I was actually pleasantly surprised. They showed up on game day. Unfortunately, they do drop out here against Tempo, but big props to them. I've probably seen this team more than anybody, and I'm still surprised that they played as well as they did. They just came up a little bit short.
For me, I think I'm looking at Tempo already for the next phase, and I'm thinking whoever is drafting for Tempo Storm needs to walk up to Solomon and say, what do you want to play? Seriously, set that guy up and enable him for the next round, and then go and get ready for the next couple of matches if you're able to get through it. Because Solom has came alive. He is looking great in the last couple of games there. Having the Blight Quest done before 4 minutes is bonkers.
Isn't he drafting? Am I wrong here?
I think it's kind of a group
Cattle
effort.
and,
Like the last time-
it's Cattle and Solom, right?
The last time I talked to them, I think they said that he's currently having the biggest influence on the draft,
And
actually.
he's
So,
looking down inside
yeah.
himself. What do I want to play
what do I
today?
want to play
And
today?
get it done.
Let me think about this for a
Self.
second. I feel like Kel'Thuzad.
Because
Well,
it was impressive.
We have some. available for a winner's interview. So let's head down to the stage with Cloaken and see what he has to say about that series.
Thank you so much, JC. That is right. I'm here with Assassin player from Tempo Storm. This is Psalm. Psalm, help me get into the mindset of your team after a Game 1 loss like that against Deadlykittens. What was going on in comms? How did you guys get your mindset together going into Game 2?
I think my team has always been pretty good at not tilting and keeping our mindset straight. The biggest thing, or the biggest problem that we have, is translating our scrim experience and our previous match experience into LAN play. So we've been playing a lot better, not during a tournament, so we need to do a better job of really translating that experience and all the practice we've been putting in.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk a little bit about hero picks. We saw some really interesting choices there going into Game 2, and I have to admit we had some negative Nancy's there over at the analyst desk, looking at that Kerrigan pick, as well as the prioritization around Malthael, and then, of course, the Kel'Thuzad in Game 3. Talk to me about that Kerrigan pick, though, specifically. What was going on with your team? Is that just a comfort pick? You knew it was a strat that you guys could lean into. What was going on with your team there?
I think those heroes that we picked, if they're played well and they're executed well, it can catch teams off guard. So, I mean, it's just heroes I've been practicing in Hero League, and we just ran it today.
Well, you played them fantastically. You definitely, helped check some of the analysts a little bit today with your play. And now let's talk a little bit about the next matchup. Obviously, you're not home free yet. You got to get to BlizzCon. One more victory needed to secure that seat. CE, we've seen some strong play from them. What are your expectations going into that match, and how do you ready yourselves for that one?
CE was a lot stronger than we anticipated. We've been scrimming a couple of Chinese teams here, but none of them, in my opinion, have been as strong as CE. But keep in mind that first match for CE, even if we won it, we would have had to play against MVP Black anyways. So chances are we probably would have had to play CE twice. So we didn't feel like we had to show too much, or so hopefully this one goes better.
Absolutely. Well, good luck, and we'll look forward to watching. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, Tempo Storm hangs on. They will match up against CE coming up very soon. Stick with us, just a short break.
Rip apart some of this front line to start.